Okay. So please note, due to COVID-19 health crisis, this meeting of the Board of Education will not be physically open to the public. This is to ensure we follow best practices for social distancing. The board meeting is live streamed to the public via Zoom. Meeting ID for this meeting is 955-7282-9204, and the password is 581879. During the public portion of this meeting, members of the public can participate through the chat feature of Zoom. All participants must provide their name, address, and your comment and/or question, which will be read and included in the board's public record of the meeting, just as it would for a standard meeting. So I'm going to call this meeting to order at 5:01 on June 17th. And can I have a roll call, please, Mr. Bleeker?
Yes. Dr. Morthy.
Here.
Ms. Zaccone.
Here.
Mr. Copland.
Here.
Oh, Mr. De Silva.
Here.
Mr. Denise.
Here.
Mr. Gallo.
Here.
Mr. Kizmarski.
Here.
Ms. Conoco.
Here.
And Ms. Barron is absent.
Okay. Adequate notice of agenda. This meeting has been provided to the Ridgewood News and the Record, specifying that the Mahwah Board of Education will meet on June 17th, 2020, in the administrative offices, 60 Ridge Road, Mahwah, New Jersey. A copy was filed with the Township Clerk. Mr. Kizmarski, would you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States
States
of
of America.
and to the
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So just to give everybody a heads up, the format for this meeting is going to be a little bit different tonight because we are going to have two executive sessions. One of them is going to be at the beginning of the meeting, and the other one at the end. We'll get a little bit more information as far as timing once we get to the first one. We're also going to have two separate public portions. Once the comment on the proposed refinancing of the bonds, and then our regular public portion for agenda items. So before we get to that, we actually have a presentation by Mr. Ulmer and Mr. Jarvis on science district results. So gentlemen, take it away.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Dennis and I are just going to take a few minutes to go over the New Jersey standardized testing science results. This is the test that was given in the 2018-19 school year. You probably remember in the fall, Dominic and I presented on the district test results for English, arts, and math. These are the science results from that same year. At the time, we didn't have the test results from the state from science. I'll present them to you tonight. So Kyle, I don't know if you're going to pull up the presentation.
Just bear with me, coming up right now. Okay, can everybody see the presentation?
We can.
Yep. Okay.
So you could kind of move right along, Kyle, to slide 2. So a couple of differences between the science assessment and the assessment in language arts and math. This assessment is only given to students in grades 5, 8, and 11. This is actually the first year that we have results from this particular assessment from the state of New Jersey. Previously, students participated in NJ Ask. NJ Ask was a much different assessment. Many of the questions based solely on memory of content, where really the assessment has shifted to the application of skills. Go on. So again, grades 5, 8, and 11 are tested. One difference again in this assessment is that in grade 5, the material on the assessment encompasses material that students were exposed to in grades 3, 4, and 5. The same in grade 8, it's material from grades 6, 7, and 8, and in grade 11, it's material from grades 9, 10, and 11. And you see the content areas and some of the practices that are on the assessment. Go ahead, Kyle. Thank you. So when we talk about the different skills that kids are asked to, are assessed on science, you can kind of look at three main areas: investigating, sense making, and critiquing. A lot of interpretation of data on these assessments. It's really almost looking at model experiments and looking at the final data and trying to draw a conclusion from that data. So certainly while our students do hands-on experiments in school, it's really taking that to the next level, and the analyzing of the data is really heightened to a new level on this assessment. You go ahead, Kyle. Thank you. So you can see Mahwah in blue and the state of New Jersey in green. This is the percentage of students who scored a 3 or a 4. A difference in the science and the English and math is English and math students can score a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. In science, it's just a 1, 2, 3, or 4, with scores 3 and 4 considered as proficient and passing scores. So you'll see 40.7% of our students scored a 3 or 4 in grade 5, compared to 29.2% of the students in the state that scored a 3 or 4. And you can obviously see the graph right there, and you'll see the same results in terms of grade 8 and 11, with Mahwah being in blue, the state being in green. Again, great to see that we're performing higher than the state. I think that we all anticipated that and expected that. Certainly the percentage of students that scored at a level of proficiency is lower than we're used to seeing in English and math. However, the state did not release district factor group results, but we have reached out to similar districts, our neighboring districts, and everyone seems to be in the same boat, that their scores on science are above the state's, but lower than they scored in English, language arts, and mathematics. Go ahead. Thank you, Kyle. So these are the percentage of students at each level of performance in grades 5, 8, and 11. A good portion of students in that level 2 area, which is approaching proficiency. So certainly looking to move those students, but certainly moving all of our students up to that level of proficiency and a passing score. Thank you, Kyle. You can go ahead. So the state requires us to report subgroup data for each assessment. So you can take a look at the subgroup data here, the district being on top, the state second, and then all the subgroups beneath. Of course, the sooner the green starts on the graph, the better in this case. So we're looking for the more green and blue in terms of those levels of proficiency. Okay. Kyle, you can move on.
Yep.
Dennis, if you want to talk to this slide.
Yeah, so, as Kevin said, obviously this should be considered baseline data. It's the first set of data we've gotten back. And, aside from the anecdotal comparisons we have to other districts, we don't have a statewide set of comparison data. So, having said that, it's still something we want to improve upon. Our general strategies, we're going to look at our curriculum, look at the spots where we can do that improvement, specifically in those investigative practices, sense-making practices, and critiquing practices. Those conversations are already ongoing, and I'll allude to those a little bit more in a second here. Obviously, we're going to designate professional development time to improve these strategies. But I think, aside from all that, when we look at the greater scheme here, we're fighting a nationwide trend in terms of science being at the forefront. So, to that point, we've made great strides. Obviously the Career Pathways program at the high school was the first step in identifying where our students are going to school, what they're going for, and then more of the exposure factor, using that data to drive the fact that we're exposing our students more now with more course offerings in our sciences, and our STEAM electives, and then working backwards into the middle school and exposing all of the students in the middle school level in the 6th or 8th grades to a brand new STEAM curriculum. So having said all of that, we're looking at far more exposure with our students. They're going to be practicing these skills far more often, and right down into the classroom too, in terms of working with our teachers and continuing that work with questioning and developing those analytical skills that this test, as Kevin alluded to, is far less recall and far more of the analytics of looking at data and being able to pick data out and explain it. So, we're moving in a real positive direction with that, with our new course offerings, and with work we're doing with our teachers and our students.
I'll just follow up with, at the elementary level as well, K to 5, with our maker spaces and the Knowing Science curriculum, we are now exposing students more than ever to experiments where they are really investigating and they're drawing conclusions from their experiments, which is really a shift that has occurred over the past couple of years, where previously we were really relying on nonfiction text to teach science. So we're shifting kind of with the expectations and knowing what we know in terms of where kids need to be for the future. And I think that in districts, certainly, there is a comprehensive program in place, K through 12, to ensure that our students are receiving the proper exposure in the field of science. Questions about anything? All right. I believe the presentation will be posted on our website. It'll be available for everyone to see. So we'll have that up there for the public to see. But thank you for your time. Like I said, we're going back a little bit in time tonight, going to the 2018-19 school year, but certainly happy to present the test results to you.
Thank you, Kevin and Dennis, for being with us here tonight and putting the presentation together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, so with that, I'm going to ask for a motion to recess to executive session. I have Mr. Gallo, second by Mr. Kuzmarski. We anticipate this to be about an hour. So it is 5:13 right now. We will reconvene back to public session. I'm going to say it's 6:15, just to make it an even hour. So for the board members that are joining the closed session, we need to leave this meeting and click on the link that Kyle sent earlier today to join our closed session meeting. And we'll see everyone back here in an hour. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to reconvene to public. I have Mr. Kuzmarski, second by Mr. Gallo. Dr. Schoen, do we have a superintendent's report tonight?
We do this evening. I would like to, if it's all okay with you, I'd like to begin my report this evening by giving Dr. DeToro the opportunity to talk to us a little bit about the district's recently created COVID task force, whose focus is on designing a reopening plan for us in September. Dr. DeToro has worked closely with the central office team, reaching out to various members of our school community, including representative Board of Education members, administrators, teachers, paras, parents, and township health officials, as well as organizing an agenda to guide this team. Today, 47 members of the task force met for the first time on Zoom to begin the conversation about reopening and share thoughts about what our reopening would look like. Dr. DeToro, if you'd be kind enough to give the board members a brief synopsis of the COVID task force and our plans moving forward.
Well, you took my first 3 bullet points.
I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
The task force. The task. Let me start from the beginning. As we all know, we're going through some very difficult times. As we all know, information is coming at different speeds and oftentimes later than we want it to come. At this point of the year, it's obvious we're closing out one year and now we're starting to prepare for reentry. We don't know what that's going to look like because the guidelines have not come down yet. So we felt it was important at our level in leadership to really pull together, as Dr. Schoen stated, a large number of voices from different aspects of our community to make sure that we're thorough and successful in the reopening process. So we decided to gather a number of stakeholders together and really commit to some very basic tenets. The stakeholders that we gathered, as Dr. Schoen shared, really ran the gamut of our educational experience. We had parents. Mrs. Gaslow actually is here. She was one of them. We had a number of administrators. we had teachers, we had our nurses, our child study team, and we had our Department of Health representatives. So we really tried to make sure that there were unique voices at the table. There were a number of experts at the table that really could give us a comprehensive view of all the what ifs and have you considered statements. That being said, today's meeting was the very first of, I'm sure, many. We decided to come together to really lay a framework out for all those involved. During the meeting today and prior to the meeting today, we asked for the committee, the task force, to start to reflect on some burning questions that they had, some concerns, some fears, whatever it may be. It morphed into a 6-page document that had some thoughtful feedback from all the different participants that ranged from instruction to health and wellness of our staff and students, to transparency to our for us to the community, and really just what are we doing with facilities, transportation, and food services. So it was a great springboard into our discussion for today. Today we asked the 46 or 47 members to identify what subcommittees they would like to be a part of. We identified 3 subcommittees. One would be instruction. The second would be health and wellness for our staff and students. And the third is facilities, transportation, and our food services. We understand that as of 46, 47 people, breaking them into 3 subcommittees, that's still a large number. But understanding that each subcommittee has a lot of different components, we know that each subcommittee is going to be broken off into little committees in and of itself. For example, instruction, I'm sure there's going to be an elementary and a secondary, if not a lower elementary, middle school, and secondary high school group. So we asked our participants to identify their first, second, and third choice of those committees that I stated. Now it's our responsibility to put them into subcommittees. There will be a point person for each committee. The reason why we feel it's important to have a point person is exactly what some of our committee members asked for, which was transparency. We feel it's very important that we're communicating on an ongoing basis with our, obviously with the board, but also with the community. Our staff and students need to be very much aware of the work that's being done. We feel that there's 2 reasons for that. Number 1, just so they're up to date with what is happening and they're informed. But number 2, we want to do our very best to put them at ease as best as possible so they know that this is not something that's just being thrown together. It's a very thoughtful process. It's a process that we're really reaching out to all of our colleagues and connections, not only in the state, but around the country. A number of us sat on a webinar that focused on the reentry of Australia, New Zealand, and Germany. So we were able to get information from the school leaders there of how they recreated their school setting and the structures that they put in place. There are a number of different resources that are out there, not guidelines, but resources and suggestions. So it's our job as a task force to distill that down to the committees and then have them start the conversations. At this point, because Governor Murphy hasn't given us exact guidance yet, we were just told today that most likely next week, it's going to be possible that he's going to share some guidance K-12, which would be great. But at this time, we are just purely relying on the brains of the committee to generate areas of concerns and suggestions. We'll start there, and once guidance is pushed down, we'll use that as our foundation to generate recommendations. The point people, as I stated prior, will be reporting back so we can provide updates to the board as well as the committee, the community, and that's going to be on an ongoing basis. The timeline for this, the committee is going to be meeting 3 times in July and 1 time in August, with the hope that by the first meeting in August, it's our hope, God willing, that we're going to have all the information we need for a successful reentry. If not, we will continue that process. But I think the best part of the meeting, to be quite honest, is at the end of the meeting, we opened it up to the committee for questions and concerns and fears and everything in between. And I feel like we got a lot of honest feedback from all of the members involved. We were able to hear from administrators, the teachers, the parents gave a lot of insightful feedback. Our healthcare professionals shared some really structural concerns and how we can reorganize space to accommodate for cases. So I'm very encouraged. We're very encouraged. I think I can speak for the team. We didn't get a chance to debrief because it literally happened at 2 o'clock. But I think I can speak for our team by saying that the meeting was a successful first step, one of many, and it's something that we're pretty confident that the players on this committee are going to provide some great insight and suggestions of how we can get our kids back, our teachers back in a safe and intelligent fashion, while also supporting them both emotionally and academically.
I want to thank you, Mike, very much. I thanked you in front of the committee today, but certainly in front of the board, to you and the team for the outstanding beginning. You know, it often sets the pace for moving forward, and today was stellar. So thank you very much. A couple of other things, Mr. De Silva, if I may. It is at this time, as we are only a couple of days away from ending our most unique school year ever, that I must extend my deepest appreciation to our extraordinary staff who did more than excel in these extraordinary times. Our staff has met each day with a smile and a genuine love for our students and our district operations in a way that I have never, ever seen before. And I am not alone in this sentiment. Numerous personal phone calls from parents and hundreds of emails have flooded our inboxes daily, expressing heartfelt gratitude to our staff. On behalf, certainly, of our Board of Education members, I sincerely thank our entire staff for always, always putting our students' need first, whether with them physically or in a remote environment. Our staff has made this unprecedented time in our students' education, and in all of our lives for that matter, one for the memory books, an educational experience like no other that will last a lifetime. The accolades of our staff have received are so well deserved and have made me even more proud of a district I have called my home for 7 years. As you all know at this point, there's a resolution on tonight's agenda for the board to accept my retirement. I want you to know that I have really enjoyed my time here in Mahwah. I'm proud of the level of success achieved by our students and our district as a whole. Much has been accomplished during my tenure. All of this is a direct result of the dedicated staff members who, whether physically present or in this remote environment of ours, have left me impressed and in awe. I will take away with me a sense of pride, along with many fond memories of my time here in Mahwah, and know, with confidence, that our district is well prepared to face any challenges on the road ahead. I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to be your superintendent and to serve the community of Mahwah. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bleeker, can you top that? You're muted, Kyle.
I don't think I can top that, Mr. De Silva, but I do have a few comments to report on this evening. First and foremost, like we have said during these virtual meetings, if anybody wants to participate during the public portion of the meeting, please use the chat feature within Zoom. If you want to take the opportunity to begin typing any questions or comments, you may do so right now. And then we will, as we said in the opening statement, read it into the record. Giving you a heads up so you can begin typing it now for those that may wish to. Debt refunding, as Mr. De Silva had said, there's one unique item on the agenda for tonight. We do require a separate public portion of it, public comment portion of it. That's a debt refunding that we're doing. This is the second reading of that refunding. The first we did at our meeting, first meeting in May. What this is, for those that did not hear about it then, we're taking one of the long-term debts that we have, one of the bonds that we're still paying off, and we're restructuring that at a lower interest rate. We've been working with our finance advisors, with Phoenix Advisors, as well as our bond counsel, to achieve a rate that must meet the state-required 3% net present value or lower to achieve the savings and in order to proceed with this. The savings, while the bond does still have just a few years left on it, will be approximately $30,000 to $40,000 directly to the taxpayers' savings. This is our bonds, again, are fully funded by the taxpayers. So by securing a lower interest rate, this is less that the taxpayers will have to pay in the coming years. There was a revised agenda that was sent out and posted publicly on our website earlier today. So for those members of the public that may have taken a look at the agenda earlier in the week that was posted, I just want to highlight the handful of revisions that were on the agenda that got posted this afternoon, earlier this morning, I should say. There was one additional resolution that was added pertaining to outdoor classroom at Betsy Ross School. This is to award the construction of that. The other two items that got adjusted was within the agenda already. Those are the resolutions to transfer money to capital reserve and to maintenance reserve, where those limits on that were increased. The capital reserve was increased from $1.5 million to $2 million, and the emergency reserve was increased from $300,000 to $500,000. No other changes were made to the agenda that was initially released to the public on Monday. As far as those transfers, again, we usually speak about this during our June meeting. Transfers, this is the only time during the year that we have the opportunity to make transfers into our reserve accounts is during our June meeting. We always set an amount that is going to be an up to amount. The final amount of the transfer I will share when it has been finalized. That's going to be when our audit is completed and the final numbers have been audited during that time. Expected it to be usually in a couple months. We usually have it finalized by about September. The auditors have completed their job on that part of the audit. Two other items to mention, one on the agenda, one not. The one item on the agenda is the receipt of a donation from Mr. and Mrs. Backus, a scholarship, a new endowment for the high school. This is to support seniors who graduate, a scholarship opportunity for them. We greatly thank the Backus family for making this donation, a very generous donation. It is an endowment, so the funds that will be available for disbursement to any senior will be the interest that's earned on that principal. One other item not on the agenda that I had shared through email at the end of May when it was announced is state aid for next year for the 2021 school year. As many of you know, next year is a year of some uncertainty. Our state aid has been cut from what it was originally stated in late February, early March. It was cut by just over $200,000. I've spoken with the Finance Committee about best options to lessen the hurt on that cut in the 2021 school year. This may not be the last cut. I do want to say that. The budget for next year, as many of you may be aware, has been pushed until August. The governor is not going to make the determination on what the final budget is until then, and then putting it in place in September. Of course, I'll keep you updated through the summer if any other changes come, but currently that's the only cut that we've been notified of so far. And lastly, regarding the one retirement that is on tonight's agenda, I do have a brief statement to share. I want to take a moment to congratulate Dr. Schoen on her retirement, which is on tonight's agenda. Next month, it will have been 5 years since Lauren recommended my appointment to the board. In those 5 years, I've had experiences and opportunities that may not have occurred without her assistance and support. I value all that I have learned during our time working together. Best wishes to you for a retirement filled with health and happiness. That's my report for this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Kyle.
You're welcome.
Mr. Fair, you're up.
Good evening, everyone. The first piece that I have to report is I just want to thank our summer program work. Dawn Utel, our principal of the Title I summer program, Regina Businelli, who's the coordinator of our ESY program, and Gregory Baker, who's in charge of our self-sustained music program over the summer. I just want to thank them for being flexible. You'll see that we've had a bunch of updates to our summer programming due to the change in guidance. So I think it warrants, a formal announcement of thanks to them. The second piece for this evening is a little lengthy. We have 12 retirements over the course of this school year. Some we have had mid-year retirements, and for many of our retirees, this is their last week of school in the district. And normally, we would be able to honor them and commemorate them through our end-of-year barbecue. Unfortunately, that's not able to happen. And I just wanted to highlight them. I know that in speaking with Dr. Schoen and her office, we're already having the glass apples that we would present to them either at a board meeting or the end-of-year barbecue. Those are being sent. I know it's not the same, but I just wanted to go through our list of 12 very briefly, just to finalize some of their great work. So for Diana Farquharson as our school counselor, thank you for the guidance you've given our high school students. For Gay Ferber as secretary, your presence is missed at Lenape Meadows main office. For Priscilla John Caspro, thank you for assisting our teachers in your role as paraprofessional at the high school. For Maria Grimulya, special education teacher at Lenape, the magic and care you employ for our special education students will be forever remembered. For Linda Casca, secretary at the Ridge, we will always appreciate your attention to detail. For Irene Lahr, vocal music teacher at the Ridge and Joyce Kilmer School, the vocal music program you have helped build will remain as your legacy. For Connie Lehman, non-instructional paraprofessional in the main office of Lenape, thank you for your warm greetings at the school. For Sarah Lowry, teacher of art at JK and Rampo Ridge, the love of art you have instilled in your students means the world to them and to us. For Jan Pym, special education teacher at JK, your kindness and warmth in working with a range of students will remain as your hallmark. For Mary Pisani, physical education teacher at Rampo Ridge, thank you for your consideration of the whole child and all that you've done in this district. For Suzanne Sophia, teacher of biology and chemistry, we will always remember your professionalism at the high school, along with your work at making science content accessible for our kids. And for Teddy Wright, a school counselor at Rampo Ridge, your warmth and sense of humor are missed, especially during these trying times. We wish all of those retirees the very best in their retirement, which leads us to Dr. Schoen, which is obviously her retirement is listed on as agenda item 19A. Typically in board meetings, out of respect for Dr. Schoen and her position, I always, and we always refer to her as Dr. Schoen, but tonight I'm going to speak to her as Lauren, as I would normally do in the office. So Lauren, I've learned a great deal from you about work, about leadership, and about life. In reflecting back on the last 6 years together, a lot has been accomplished for the students and staff of this school community, and I ultimately thank you for supporting and celebrating this district's progress every step of the way. Thank you for our occasional heart-to-hearts, for allowing our team to be creative, and for supporting us thinking outside of the box. You've taught us the value of keeping staff, our Board of Education, and parents fully informed, and emphasized to us from day one that communication is a valuable and crucial part of leading schools. We wish you nothing but the best in the next chapter of your journey, Lauren, and especially the next time the weather reports of impending snowstorms. I hope you sleep well knowing that that is a call you do not have to make. So happy retirement to you, Lauren. Enjoy it.
Thank you very much, Dennis. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Dennis. So we do not have a president's report tonight. Do we have any board committee reports? Ms. Morthy?
Thank you, Rick. So I just wanted to highlight on instruction and curriculum. I think two of the topics have already been covered well. The science test results we discussed at our last meeting, and the COVID task force, which had a very sort of good participation, and I look forward to working on that over the summer. In terms of the board, the chairs of the instruction committee, facilities committee, Mr. Gallo, and community relations, Brett Copland, are the board members on that. So I thank you for including us on that. There was also a conversation, and I just wanted to highlight something we talked about in our instruction committee as well. In light of the tragedy of George Floyd and the relevant topics raised in our country at present regarding racial inequities and the recognition that these issues exist within the fabric of our society, we took an opportunity in our last instruction and curriculum meeting to have a discussion of what this means for Mahwah and about educating our children. Dr. DeToro and I had some further conversations after that. And the general feeling among administrators, building principals, and relevant area supervisors is that this is a topic that needs further exploration. We need to determine the best ways to incorporate necessary changes into our curriculum and instruction, and possibly the addition of enrichment or extracurricular activities. So a venue that seems most appropriate and is in already process is our strategic planning for our district, which comes under the purview of Dr. DeToro and our committee. Within strategic planning, there are specific topic areas and the development of goal statements for each area. Within each goal, there's specific objectives which will be identified, and we can utilize this format to develop target statements and explore further how to implement them. Our strategic plan is a very forward-thinking 3 to 5 year plan for our district and provides the best opportunity for us to keep this in the forefront of our thinking and how we plan to address these issues in the future. As a committee, we are committed to examining instruction and education of all of our children, continuing to build on our current positive programming, discouraging any divisiveness or biases, and focusing on the strength that comes from highlighting and respecting mutual differences. The goal of our daily instruction and curriculum is for students to embrace their liberties, not just for themselves, but for every human being. Thank you. Would it be okay, Rick, for me to just say my comments about Lauren since I have the floor, or do you want me to wait?
You know, let's wait. We're going to take
Sure.
her
Okay.
resolution separately, so we'll have.
Okay, fine. We'll do it then. Thank you.
We're going to make her wait.
Oh, great.
Great.
That's just great.
Did I see your hand up?
Yes. So I just want a brief report from Finance and Facilities. Over the last few weeks since May, we've met 3 times. We have met to discuss concerns we have about future revenues and expenses related to the pandemic. So we have a pulse on it, and Kyle is definitely on it. We also endorse the transfers that we're hopefully going to approve this evening. They will give us some additional financial resources in the future, hopefully. And we also have a bunch of facilities projects that are coming to a conclusion in the next number of weeks. We'll make a little bit of a longer report maybe in July, but we've used the pandemic period to accelerate some of those projects because the schools are closed, and hopefully we can report some good news on the availability of those facilities in the near future. We'll do that in the July report. The other thing is I would like to also acknowledge Mike DeToro's work this afternoon on organizing the reentry task force. It was a remarkable cross-section of faculty, community members, administrators, supervisors, and I think there were almost 6 pages of initial commentary and questions. So there is a healthy amount of discussion and concern and expertise being brought to bear on this subject. The transition will now be for the work to go into those committees, to go from the questioning phase, like raising the questions, and now answering the questions. And that'll be a very important thing for us to do. But I'm, based on the experience I saw today, I have every confidence that we will come out of this very strong, and that we will deliver a reopening that is safe and that the public and students can have confidence in when the students come back in September. So we're off to a great start, and Mike deserves a lot of credit for that. I also want to echo Dennis's comment that we regret that we're not able to do the barbecue this year. It's we've done it 2 years in a row. It's a very fun event, and we sort of have a very small version of our barbecue tomorrow. We have a meeting with the MEA negotiating team. We promised when we negotiated the contract that we would do a follow-up after year one, just to see how all the changes we had discussed have panned out, for good or bad, and to also hopefully identify other positive opportunities we can explore when the contract needs to be renewed in a couple of years again. So it's just another good forum to keep that spirit of cooperation alive. But of course, we won't have hot dogs and hamburgers to do that with, unfortunately.
No bounce house.
No bounce house. No cornhole.
Or maize,
No ice cream truck. No.
cotton candy.
Other committee reports? We're good. Okay. Any board member remarks or additional comments on non-agenda items? Mr. Denise.
Just have a few acknowledgements. If you haven't gotten a chance to go up to the football field and check out the banners that are lining the football field fence, that was done by a parents group that commemorate the class of 2020. Very, very tastefully done. Very nice. It's gray and black banners, and it pretty much takes up the whole backside of the football field. Also, I'd like to thank the town council for renaming Ridge Road MHS class of 2020. I see you there, Dave. Thanks so much for that. And I'd also like to thank administration for doing the virtual graduation that's coming up on June 23rd at 6 o'clock. And especially just recently found out about is the Mahwah High School senior farewell, which is going to be scheduled for July 8th at 9:30 a.m. And it sounds like it's going to be a wonderful event. And thanks so much for doing that and for arranging that. I know that there was a lot of challenges with that because of, what was coming down from Trenton. It kept changing. So I know that that wasn't easy to put together. And I really thank the administration for doing that. And also there's one other event that's coming up that will be on Wednesday, June 24th. A parent group is also sponsoring a car parade for the class of 2020. And that'll be throughout different parts of the town. So you could, that's gonna be starting at 6 o'clock. So look for that when it passes by your house.
And unless I'm mistaken, I saw that this morning, and I believe the fire departments in the different areas of town are actually going to be leading that parade. So that's a pretty cool thing. That's pretty cool. Anyone else? Rima?
Mr. De Silva, I just wanted to say thank you to the Bacchus family for the generous endowment. It's wonderful when people support public education, and so I thank them. I also want to say congrats to the seniors, and even though this end of year has been quite different for them, I think it shows that they are tenacious, persistent, and they will be very successful. And I wish them all well and all the best in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Morthy. Anyone else? Brett?
I wanted to echo the thanks that John has already said, but I also want to congratulate all the award winners. Over the last several weeks, our schools have given out various awards, from scholarships to principal awards at all levels of the district. And just want to throw out a big congratulations to everyone that won an award. Also want to congratulate the class of 2020. Obviously, this has been a unique year, but I wish you all nothing but the best, and I know you'll make Mahwah proud. One last thank you to all the volunteers that volunteered their time at all of our schools this past school year. Again, this has been unique. I know firsthand from an HSO standpoint, it's been challenging, it's been different, but everyone that volunteered rose to the occasion and did the best that we could with what we had. So thank you to everyone that stepped up and gave their time. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. Mr. Kazmarski.
I too just want to congratulate the class of 2020. Having lived this up close and personal for the past 3 months with young Jacob here in the house. It's been a challenge at times, but they've all definitely rallied and come through. And I want to thank the administration as well for the recent things that have happened and things that have come out, much to what John has said as well. I think we're doing the best we can in terms with the lack of information and the lack of flexibility coming out of Trenton. And I think we've done the very best we could. And we've done so also without the township getting sued like other districts. So that's good. But I certainly want to wish them well, and they'll all certainly be very successful. So thank you.
I don't know. I think if Mr. May doesn't get sued, then we're not trying hard enough. What do you think? Ms. Zacone? You're on mute. Linda, you're muted.
Still muted, Linda. Still talking.
There you go.
I also would like to congratulate the class of 2020. I had many of them as students. They were a wonderful class. I wish them all the best.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. I need to entertain a motion to open to the public for our first public session. Mr. Gallo, second by Ms. Conoco. This this section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes, and this is for the purpose of discussing questions regarding the refinancing of the existing bonds.
Okay. There's been no questions specific to this coming through the chat. Unless there's any specific questions from board members, Mr. De Silva, I believe you can ask for a motion to close.
Okay. No one has any questions. I'll entertain that motion. Anybody? Mr. Kazmarski, second by Mr. Gallo. And we are going to entertain a motion to open to the public for any other general questions. I'll entertain a motion by Mr. Copland, second by Ms. Conoco. And we are open to the public.
Mr. De Silva and board, while we wait to see if anybody does type any chat comments or statements through the chat feature, I did have one that was sent to me earlier today through email to be read during this period, and I do have one item that's in the chat as well. The first one is a statement on Dr. Schoen's retirement from Miss Nancy Rapetti, 107 East Slope Road. It has been a pleasure working with you for the last 7 years. Your leadership and vision made you a great leader in our district, but your integrity, respect, and compassion has made you a great person. May you have a fun and bright new chapter ahead of you. Wishing you only the best in your retirement.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
And the one statement that's in the chat is also for Dr. Schoen. This is from David May, Council President for the Township. I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Dr. Schoen on your retirement and just say that during your time in Mahwah, you have had a positive impact that will last for years. We have communicated well over the years, and I always appreciated how you always made yourself available to talk whenever necessary. You'll be missed, and once again, enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Mr. May. Thank you very much.
And those are the only two items that I have for the public portion. I will monitor the chat for the rest of the meeting to see if anything else is typed.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to close to the public. Mr. Copland, second by Dr. Morthy. And I'll entertain a motion on 18A, old business minutes from the last meeting. Ms. Conoco, second by Mr. Gallo. Mr. Bleeker, please.
Okay. Dr. Morthy.
Yes.
Ms. Zacone.
Yes.
Mr. Copland.
Yes.
Mr. Denise.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Kazmarski.
Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
Conoco, you're muted.
That's a yes.
Got it. And Mr. De Silva.
Yes. And I'll entertain a motion on 19A through LL, please. Moved by Mr. Kazmarski, second by Mr. Gallo. Any comments or questions, discussion? Okay, so real quick, I'd like to recognize, I know it's been said already, but thanks to Mr. and Mrs. Bacchus for their generous donation to our district. And I'm looking forward to seeing more about the Betsy Ross outdoor classroom that's on 19LL. I think that's going to be a fantastic addition to that building. It's going to bring a lot of opportunity. Mr. Bleeker, we have a roll call, please.
Dr. Morthy.
Yes.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. Copland.
Yes.
Mr. Denise.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Kazmarski.
Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
Yes.
And Mr. De Silva.
Yes. For new business personnel, I'd like to take 20A separately from the rest. Anyone have any comments or questions? Dr. Morthy?
I just want to wish Dr. Schoen well in her retirement. It's been a great 7 years. I've had the pleasure of working with you beginning of my tenure when I was MSF president, and now while on the board. I wish you all the best, and please know that you will be missed by our district and by me personally. Even though I've known you professionally, I feel like at this point we're friends. So anyway, wish you all the best, Lauren, and hope to keep in touch.
Thank you, Prima, very much.
Ms. Conoco?
I too would like to thank you. Being on this board, working directly with you has been an honor and a fantastic experience, both as a parent and board member. And I just wish you happiness and success. I look forward to maybe running into you out there while you're working on living the dream.
Thank you very much. Touche.
Mr. Kazmarski?
It's funny, Prima kind of took my thunder as well on this. I've known you now in several capacities, as a parent, as the president of the school's foundation, and as a board member. And not just you and I, but we as a collective board, we've done big things here over these past 7 years, and it's all been generated by your leadership. From everything from laptops to the STEAM building to so many different things that we've done here.
Give me 5 minutes.
It's been amazing. And I wish you wouldn't go, but I wish you just nothing but happiness and rest in your retirement.
Thank you, Ben, very much.
Ms. Saccone?
Yes, as a retired Ramapo Ridge teacher, I had the opportunity to work under Dr. Schoen, and now as a current board trustee, I would like to thank her for her service, her dedication, and her leadership. I wish you all the best, Lauren. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Mr. Denise?
Yeah, hi, Lauren. I'd like to wish you a very happy, healthy, exciting, and adventurous retirement. And even though you'll be leaving us soon, your legacy will remain for many, many, many years to come.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Mr. Copland?
Well, I had the great honor of meeting Dr. Schoen in my HSO capacity, and then moving up to the board. It's been a true honor. And personally, I just want to thank you for for always reminding me when I'm being a pain in the ass.
I do that.
but as you walk away and move to the next chapter, just know that you've left your fingerprints all over this district, and it's been a remarkable impression that you're leaving behind. So thank you for all your work and all your effort and all your love that you've given to this district.
Thank you, Brett, very much. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Mr. Gallo?
I have a little bit of a longer statement.
Surprise.
We
Surprise.
wouldn't expect any less, Mike.
Clear your schedules. Last week, Rick gave me this very thick report that was prepared in 1990. It was a long-range facilities plan that his father and 26 other community members contributed to back in 1990. The report was prepared at an important point in the history of our school district. Mahwah's population was growing as a result of a building boom, and in 1989, our schools were caught flat-footed by a surge in students. These generous individuals came together to analyze the situation and make recommendations, which resulted in the expansion of the district. All of our children benefited from the foresight of this task force. Our good fortune today is a result of the intentional work of many people of the committee in 1990, countless students, teachers, supervisors, principals, board members, and superintendents who preceded them and followed them, who dedicated themselves to our common purpose, serving our students so that the potential of each student can be developed to its fullest. We can never fully express the depth of our gratitude to everyone who contributed to the success of our schools. But today, we have a unique opportunity to acknowledge one of those individuals who led the district to a new level of achievement. Lauren would be the first to say that whatever success the district achieved on her watch was not because of her efforts alone, but is the result of the work of a team of people dedicated to our students. In the 7 years she has served as our superintendent, she made numerous hiring decisions that built a strong and capable team of school leaders, and that we are very proud to have serving our district. Excellence is not achieved by accident. She left her mark on the district through the many initiatives she endorsed. Some were behind the scenes, strengthening our management and supervisory processes, strongly supporting our professional development programs, emphasizing peer-to-peer mentoring and the sharing of internal practice and content experts. While others, like our Thunderbird think tank project, were highly visible and transformative. Likewise, she was an advocate for our arts, music, drama, extracurricular, and athletic programs. I will highlight just two of these things. During her watch, 7 students in Mahwah were invited to participate in the All Eastern Chorus or Orchestra. This was a first for our district. And who can forget the 2 football teams that won state championships on her watch? So it's not just the academics that we did well in. I am personally grateful to her for the many years of experience she shared with me. I am a better board member as a result. And in this way, in some small way, I hope I can contribute to our district as a result of her experience. Thank you, and I wish you good health and much fulfillment in your retirement. And you don't have to return the sign to Ben.
I was going to ask that, actually.
All yours, Lord.
Thank you. Thank you very much, all of you. It has been my honor to work at your side. The district is very fortunate to have all of you. Thank you.
I guess that leaves me.
Yep.
I'm just going to be real quick because, I mean, it's pretty well all been said. But the district has seen a lot of change over the past 7 years. And I think that your stewardship has left us in a really good position to go forward and continue the tradition of excellence that's, that we have here. I'm the only one on the board right now that was here when you were hired. You stood out head and shoulders above the other candidates at that time, and you're leaving big shoes for us to fill. But we're going to do our best to do that to do what's best for the kids. You're going to be missed. Thank you. I've gotten to know you as in the role of a parent and a board member, and I'd like to say friend. So
I would agree, Rick. I would agree. Thank you very much.
I have something from Kim. He sent it from South Carolina. If I'd like to read it to you, Lauren, and to the board. I'd first like to apologize to my fellow trustees, administration, and community for not being able to attend today's meeting. I would also like to thank the board's executive committee for their diligence and support. 5 years ago, I was honored to be elected to serve as president of this board. On that fateful day, when the votes were cast and I moved my seat to the front of the class, Dr. Schoen, knowing I was a little nervous, leaned over to me and said, "Don't worry, you got this. It's all good." Fast forward 5 years later, I am proud to say I'm still president and don't think I would have remained in this position had it not been for the close professional relationship between Dr. Schoen and myself. Dr. Schoen is extremely trustworthy and has always been open, honest, and frank during interactions with the board and myself. Her dedication to our district has been nothing less than stellar, and she has always been available 24/7 to handle any situation that arose during her tenure. Dr. Schoen leads by example with an extraordinary work ethic. For the last 7 years, she has not only shared her professional talents, but has poured her heart and soul into our district. The Mahwah School District is in a much better place than it was 7 years ago, due in huge part to Dr. Schoen's leadership. I have seen her weather stresses and strains, as well as watched her rejoice in the remarkable achievements of our district. At times, I'm sure, she must have felt as if her job was a thankless one, but I strongly believe those doubts were overshadowed by the accomplishments of the remarkable staff and equally amazing students. Dr. Schoen is and always will be a Thunderbird. While I am deeply saddened by the retirement of Dr. Schoen, I begrudgingly accept her decision. Lauren, thank you for all your support. I wish you good health, much happiness, and immense success in whatever endeavors you choose to follow. With much fondness and some regrets, Kim.
Thank you. Please thank him for me. I will as well. Thank you all very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. De Silva, I did have two comments that came in through the chat, also on this topic. Would you care for me to read them now or at the end?
I can go ahead now.
Okay. First from Miss Brooke Gaslow. Although we have not always seen eye to eye, I know all you have done for Mahwah, and you have led it in being the successful district it has become. Best of luck in retirement. I also would like to say what a wonderful job the teachers have done since we have been in quarantine. I would like to call out Ms. Schumann for hand-delivering handwritten notes to her 8th grade students, which really is something that is not seen anymore. The teachers we have really go out of their way, another reason to love Mahwah schools.
Thank you, Mrs. Gaslin.
And the other comment I have is from Mr. John Feason to Dr. Schoen. Tonight I'm representing all 26,000 Mahwah residents, and they all have told me to say thank you for all of your work. You're leaving the Mahwah School District in an excellent position. Everyone wishes you the very best wishes in all of your future endeavors. John Feason.
Thank you, Mr. Feason.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion on 20A, please. Mr. Kuzmarski, second by Mr. Gallo. Mr. Bleeker, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Dr. Morthy.
Begrudgingly, yes.
Ms. Zaccone.
Yes.
Mr. Copland.
Yes.
Mr. Denise.
With a very heavy heart, yes.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Kuzmarski.
Yeah, I just want to flat out vote no, but you want to, it's okay. Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
With a stiff upper lip, yes.
And Mr. De Silva.
Wishing you a very long, happy, healthy, and interesting retirement. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you all.
And I'll entertain a motion on 20B through LL, please. Mr. Kuzmarski, second by Ms. Conoco. Any discussion, questions, comments? Okay, Mr. Bleeker.
Rick, I'm sorry. One thing on 20J, I just want to say, out of everything that's being canceled because of the pandemic, this one, I'm disappointed we can't do this, and hopefully we'll be able to find an opportunity for to reschedule Safety Town. that's something that the incoming kindergartners always look forward to. It's always a wonderful event and a wonderful week for these kids. So hopefully we'll be able to find some time in August or whenever to actually do this.
For the incoming kindergartners and the counselors, look forward to it as well.
Yes, my daughter enjoyed doing it.
Mr. Bleeker, can we have roll call, please?
Yes, Dr. Morthy,
Yes.
Ms. Saccone. Ms. Saccone. Nope,
I think she's frozen.
she froze. Okay, we'll come back. Mr. Copland,
Yes.
Mr. Denise,
Yes.
Mr. Gallo,
Yes.
Mr. Kesmarsky,
Yes.
Ms. Conoco,
Yes.
and Mr. De Silva.
Yes. And with that, we do need a second executive session this evening. So this will, the public is welcome to hang out to watch us adjourn afterwards if you'd like. But we're going to be going into executive session. Then when we come out, we'll be adjourning. So I'll entertain a motion to move to executive session, please. Mr. Gallo, second by Mr. Denise.
Okay, Mr. De Silva, we are out of executive session. We'll need a motion to reconvene and then a motion to adjourn, please.
Okay, moved by Mr. Gallo, second by Ms. Conoco. And motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Dr. Morthy, second by Mr. Kismarsky. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night. Thank you, everybody.
Night.
Thank you.